Welcome to this training. I am delighted to share this first part of the bootcamp training with you. And today we're talking about releasing the rush, the energetic and structural reset for calm, confident leadership. In this training, we will be diagnosing the catch up loop that drains your time presently. And we will be releasing what's no longer serving you and your mission, your legacy, the next level identity that you are sending into. And we will reorient towards calm strategic flow. And this is the foundation for scaling sustainably. Right now, you are your four figures, multiple four figures, or maybe at five figures, and you are ready to ascend to your next highest income without being plugged in 24/7. And this is the training for you. But before we dive in, I would like to briefly introduce myself. Hello, my name is Sharon Samuel Adikpe, and I am a partner to 4 to 5 figure ambitious, legacy led, and self led entrepreneurs who are done being the system. You're done being the fallback of every single thing in the business. I help you ascend into your next level of leadership with so much grace and stability so that you can freely nap on a Monday afternoon. Not napping or sleeping because you were told by the doctor, not sleeping because you are burnt out or fatigued on a day that's supposed to be a very busy day for most people, but because you know that your business is being taken care of. You nap without guilt on a Monday afternoon. You go on impromptu multiple day trips without guilt, zero guilt, because once again, my business is being taken care of. You're clear about your role and you are ready to ascend to your next multiple six figure wealth without being plugged in 24/7. And if you've been growing your business and it's successful on the outside, but you know internally that something needs to shift, your CEO identity needs to shift, then this is the conversation for you. And I am so delighted to chat with you today. Now, quick one, I'll skip in. By the end of this training, here's what you will discover. You discover where your reactivity begins. You discover what's draining your energy and leadership capacity. And our calm systems, clean decisions, and nervous system aligned structure will help you create scalable flow. You will discover that you are the best of yourself when you stop allowing yourself to be the system holding everything together. When you lean in and allow your system and your business structure to hold you, you discover that you will be creating the best of results for your people. You'll be creating the best of transformation in your space. And I am so excited to dive in. So let's get right into it. The first thing first, I want to talk about what I call the catch-up loop. The catch-up loop is the real reason why you probably are feeling behind right now. If right now you are at the point where you feel like you are the system holding everything together, you are probably on one of the pillars or one of the stages in the catch-up loop. So as you can see on your screen, the catch-up loop has 4 main stages. There is a growth stage, the overfunctioning stage, the burnout or guilt stage, and the reactivity stage. And then the cycle continues. At the growth stage, you have new ideas. You have clients coming in, you're taking on new responsibilities. Everything seems to be working as you have put all the energy and your effort to it. So everything is finally working. That is the growth phase. And perhaps you are in this phase, perhaps you've passed this phase. This is the beginning stage of the catch up loop. Then, because there is no proper structure, there is no role clarity, and you have not really set up those systems to hold you so that you are not being the one that holds the business, what happens next is overfunctioning. You find yourself doing more than you desire. You find yourself holding more responsibilities. That need or that mindset of I've got to do more. If I don't do it, no one will do it. Everything starts to set in. Those mindset start to set in. Then that leads to burnout. You feel exhausted. You even start disguising that exhaustion as discipline. I've got to be more disciplined. You are exhausted. You are tired. You are probably even starting to dislike waking up and going to sit at your work desk. You're probably feeling that right now because you're exhausted. That is a sign that the burnout phase has set in. You might not be like burnt out totally, having to be lodged in the hospital, but you are tired. You're mentally tired. You're physically perhaps tired, maybe not to the level where you have to be transferred to the hospital, but you are tired. And then the reactivity phase comes in. You start looking for quick fixes that don't diagnose the root cause. You start to get consistently unfocused. And so the cycle starts again because, yeah, those quick fixes might work. You find out you have new ideas again, there is flow again, clients coming again, new responsibilities. But because you do not set up the structure that we're about to share, that we will leverage the raw blueprint to help you set up, and you do not really clarify your role and ascend into your role of leadership, you find out that the cycle repeats itself again. And this is the real reason why you feel behind. So let's talk about the solution. Like, how do you solve this? How do we take care of this? This is where my camera perspective comes in. And as you can see, my beautiful table on your screen, I'm just going to walk through it because today's training, we're going to be focusing on the release phase. That's the first part that we're going to be focusing on today. So the phase for release, that focus is to detox chaos and over control. Where are the places where you need to let go of control, where you need to ascend your leadership mentally, emotionally, and even operationally inside your business? This is where we start to detox chaos. And what start happening in the release phase is you're able to move from everything being urgent, from reacting to everything because it's urgent. It feels urgent, even though it's not urgent. You're able to move from, oh my God, if I don't show up, the business wouldn't move without me. You start moving towards intentionality because you start working more intentionally. You start making more aligned decision. You release what's no longer serving. And then what happens, what people see on the outside is spaciousness. Suddenly your calendar is clearer. Suddenly you feel more spacious and expansive. Suddenly you can take on new creative ideas because everything starts getting more clear. That is the release phase. The next phase is the optimize phase. At this phase, you are focused on redesigning your systems and your operations. That will be the focus. It's like, optimizing. We optimize those things that are working, we'll dial down on them, and then we'll refine your operations to ensure that you are able to move from feeling scattered to feeling structured. So now you've gotten more intentional. Now you're getting more structure in the business. That is the goal for the optimized phase. And what starts to happen is everything feels more easeful. It feels like things are flowing again. You are confident to take naps in the afternoon again. You are confident to go on impromptu breaks without feeling like your business will fall like a house of cards. Things start to shift inside and even in the business. The third phase of the Calm blueprint is the ascension phase. This is where you start to align your identity and your time rhythm. You understand at this phase that you don't have to be the one holding everything together. You have embodied your leadership. And so you move from hustle to harmony. You understand that your rhythm makes the rule, not the business, not what's going on outside, but your own pace, your own rhythm is what is making sure everything runs smoothly. And people start to see your leadership capacity. Your clients start to feel it. If you have a team, they start to feel that. Maybe your VAs that you have, they start to see that your leadership is expanding and they feel that they are part of something bigger than them. You trust that they can handle it. You trust that your systems can handle the things that you have let go of, the responsibilities that still serving the business, but no more in what I call your zone of excellence, which we'll be talking about later. So people start to see, they start to understand, oh my God, she's shifting. Oh, he's shifting. They see the leadership, your capacity expanding. And then the final phase is reign. This is where you lead calmly and profitably. This is where you ascend to your multiple six-figure wealth without being plugged in 24/7. And at this phase, you are moving, or you will be able to internally shift from managing, from the identity of I'm the manager, to I am leading. And this is where sustainable success starts. And I'm so excited to guide you in this training series. But today, we're only going to be talking about the release phase. So let's dive into this release phase. But before that, just a quick one. I want you to reflect with me. Like I said, this is going to be an intentional space. And even before we start to do all of the things happening, I want you to start leading like the CEO. Even before we start to implement this raw blueprint in your business, let's start leading like the leader we want to exist as. So that's why this question, I want you to reflect and really journal if you can, right? So this is something pre-recorded. So definitely pause this video and journal in your notes. I highly recommend a notebook, not a note app on your phone. I am a lover of notes because I believe that when we can write things down, we become clearer and our brain space is just opened, right? And it's it's scientifically proven that writing things down actually opens up us up mentally. It sends this wiring through our brains, this waves, this gamma waves through our brain, and we're able to think clearer. I want you to write down which calm raw phase are you currently leading from, and what shift is being asked of you next. If you can, write on your notes, which of this calm raw phase am I currently leading from? Maybe you've probably already released, and now the next stage would be for you to optimize. Maybe you've optimized, but you would need to ascend your leadership, because just optimizing your business and not clarifying your role and embodying your leadership would only mean the growth or the things you start to achieve is not sustainable because you still find yourself falling back to old habits. So, which phase are you in on the camera blueprint phase? Just take a moment to reflect. Once again, use the camera blueprint and just look at it and ask yourself that question. Ready? Let's go. I'm so proud of you. Now that you have looked at this, let's talk about the next thing. These are the 3 layers of the release phase. The release phase is made up of 3 main layers. There is the mental layer, there is your operational layer, and there is the emotional layer. And this will ensure that your business is being taken care of internally. And this is where you start to shift from, remember, being reactive, feeling urgent, to being more intentional. So I'm just going to walk through this briefly. So the mental layer, the mental release phase, is being able to release the story of I've got to hold everything together. Mentally, we release that because these are stories that we're telling ourselves. Oh, if I don't do it, no one else will do it like I can. If I don't achieve this, who else will? All of the stories that we tell ourselves that we need to let go of because they're no more serving the business. They're no more serving the next level of leadership that we are ascending into. So what are some of those stories that we need to let go of? The emotional layer is releasing guilt and urgency. The guilt of I've tried to let go of responsibilities in the past, it did not work. Or a VA came and they messed up everything, and I feel so bad because that really made my business lag at some point. This is where we let go of the guilt and that urgency of if I'm not in control, then my business wouldn't move forward. And then operational layer is about releasing the manual loops. This is where you're now going into the business and you release some aspects. Okay, let's go through it one after the other. Firstly, let's talk about the mental layer of release. If you are in the mental loop, you probably are telling yourself, if I don't do it, it won't get done. And what this is doing is it's keeping you in that over-functioning and reactive state. Remember what we talked about during the catch-up loop. And this stage only traps us in the business. We find ourselves working for the business, working in the business, instead of leading the business. Mental clutter creates decision fatigue and it blocks clarity. If I don't do it, others wouldn't do it. That is only boxing us in that catch up loop. It's only boxing us in the identity that we are not meant to be operating as right now. And I'm going to be giving you access to a resource right below, some trainings to support you. So you definitely want to check that out to really help you shift your mindset around that desire to hold on to everything. If I don't hold this, every other thing, nobody will. If I'm not the one who does this, no one else will. So I'm going to be giving you access to that because many bootcamp survey responses that I saw was, I'm always behind. I'm tired, but I keep pushing. I need to be more consistent. The thing is that this is not a time or productivity issue. It's just the stories that we tell ourselves from a season where doing equaled safety. So we have put ourselves in that safety net where having to do everything was safer. Every entrepreneur has walked through that season. So it's totally okay. You don't need to feel guilty or you don't need to this is not a call out on shame. We all have gone through that. But right now you have ascended. That was a past version of you, and you are being called to a higher level of leadership and responsibility. So use the shift for you. You want to shift from I have to control everything to I create systems that hold everything for me. Because mental release has to start before we start taking action inside of our businesses. This is why this first step is very important. Because if we build the systems, if you create those workflows and all of those things, and you have not mentally given yourself that permission to not be in control of everything. And control is it's such a very delicate word because when I talk about control, people will think, what if I lose sense of what I'm doing? What if I find out that there's nothing else that I can do in the business? That will not happen. I talk about something called your zone of genius and then your zone of excellence, right? So your zone of excellence is that level or the tasks within your zone of excellence are tasks that only you can do. These are tasks that only you can achieve. Maybe that's working with high-level clients. Then if you're the face of the brand, maybe that's creating the content, right? The first draft, at least, of the content. And then the zone of genius, this is something that you probably can do. Maybe that looks like editing, or maybe that is designing graphics. But someone else can do that. If you have a team member can do that. If you don't have a team, you can outsource that. So you definitely will still be having some level of control. You definitely will still be involved in the business, and your role in the business will get to evolve because you have evolved, because your business has evolved. So now is the mental release is about giving ourselves the permission to let go of control that is draining us, that is preventing us from ascending into higher level of leadership that we're being called to. So once again, the shift is from I have to control everything to I create systems that hold everything for me. And again, just like I said, this does not mean that you're letting go of all the control. It only means that you are giving yourself permission to ascend into a higher level of control where you get to be the the person who makes the decisions, and then every other thing follows that decision. But you get to be the CEO, you ascend into your CEO capacity and stop managing, right? So there has to be that first step of the mental release. The next step is the operational release. But before that, I want to invite you to reflect with me. What story have you been telling yourself about your role in the business that no longer serves where you are going? If you walked on this, I just want to say good job. This is the expensive SEO moves that gets us the results. Okay, let's move to the next layer. The operational layer of release is that point where you have shifted mentally, but then your business has to shift along with it. This is now looking at our work and our role in the business. What do we need to let go of? Here's the three phases that I mentioned earlier. The three zones: the manager zone, the zone of genius zone, and the zone of excellence zone. The manager zone is when you just got started. You are managing the business, so it's only fair, only sensible that we are the one doing every single thing in the business. We are the marketer, we are the salesperson, we are the customer service agent, we are the designer, we are all the things in the business. We are the content creator as well. So that is totally reasonable. We're just finding our footing. That is the manager zone. So we are managing. Then as we start to grow, we move towards the zone of genius phase. We start to own some skills because while right now you have the skill set, you have equipped with some skills and you are able to maybe now start delegating, if you will, if you prefer. Maybe you're delegating to a VA, or you get one or two team members and you're delegating some aspects. That is the zone of genius phase. At the zone of genius phase, you can work on some skills, but maybe you let go of some of that. The zone of excellence phase is when you only own your most, the highest capacity, the most relevant to your people roles in the business. And personally, now in the manager zone, you have some tasks you're doing. You're doing all of the tasks. In the zone of genius role or the zone of genius zone, you are doing a few of the tasks, both the ones that you know someone else can do. So in the zone of genius phase or the zone of genius zone, you are still working on some tasks that you know someone else can do. But at the zone of excellence phase, you let go of all the tasks that you know someone else can take care of, and you only focus on the highest revenue driver in the business. The what are my zone of excellence tasks? Because where systems should exist, where team members should be taking on some responsibilities, as CEOs will find ourselves being the system often only creates energetic leakage. And when our energy is seeping out, even in the most subtle ways, we find ourselves drained easily by the business. Even though terminology, little drops make a mighty ocean, that applies to our energy sips. The little energy subtly taken from manual tasks or things that we're no longer supposed to be working on at the level that we are right now in the business, instead of operating in a zone of excellence phase, you find yourself still operating from even your zone of genius phase. Tasks that could be automated or delegated, we are only sipping energy that can be leveraged to take the business to the next level. We're only sipping energy that could be used to write that book, to become a bestseller that will advance your business to the next level of wealth. We could be leveraging that to create a new high-ticket container for our clients to serve them at the highest level where you're working at your highest capacity. This is what is taken away from the growth of the business. And there is a cost to being stuck in busy mode. There's a tool I call the busy mode calculator, and you see that there is cost to these things. There are monetary costs to these things as well. Not because you are overly focused on the money, but because we get to create from a space of. And so survey responses I read were, my energy is always drained. This is probably the cost. Manual tasks that is seeping gradually and is leaking your energy slowly. Struggle. Here's the course. Go up into our leadership. It's not a call down, it's not shaming. Into our leadership. When you say my content takes over my week, that shouldn't be opportunity. Things. First, you go from, oh my God, I'm always busy, to my structure sustains me. Up. So let's reflect for a bit. Ask yourself, what's the one repeating task that drains me weekly that I can release this week and easily automate or delegate? You're probably already creating some systems in the business. I'm not talking to a beginner in system creation. I know you have some, but are there some tasks that's keeping you stuck in the manager zone, or maybe even the zone of genius phase that does not allow you to move into your zone of excellence phase? So what's that? Let's journal together. Ask yourself, write that down in your notes. What's that one task that I know if I leave right now, if I drop right now, may I automate it or I delegate it, I know I'll feel a little bit more relief. I know it's something I really need to delegate, but maybe I'm holding on to it because of some beliefs. I'm going to give you 1 minute to reflect before we continue. Ready? Let's go. I'm so excited for what you are shifted. This gets to be an expansive space, and I am so proud of you for taking action. Now, let's move on to the final layer. This is the emotional layer. Now, the emotional layer of release is a final, very important step that ensures that that guilt of rest and that addiction to urgency is totally sorted out, right? Because yes, you've taken care of the mental level, you've given yourself that permission, you have worked on your operational release. Now it's time for us to emotionally release that guilt feeling of feeling like rest is a luxury, right? Feeling like the ability to nap or the ability to let go of control will cause the business not to grow as it should. There might still be thoughts of, if I take rest, this is a luxury. I've got to be more disciplined. I've got to act more. I've got to prove that what I'm doing it works. And when we have that validation energy that needs to be validated, and emotional feels foreign, is because once felt like purpose. And I don't mean like chaos, everything is all wobbly. I'm talking about wanting to do all the things, wanting to catch up, wanting to react to everything. There was a phase for that. There was a phase for the hustle energy for the business where we're just growing the business, where we're just trying to figure out our way. And that felt like purpose, having to do more, having to work more hours. That felt like purpose. And calm felt like strange. Taking rest felt like luxury. Leadership without trust is just management in disguise. This is where you start to trust the systems that you've put in place. This is where you start to trust your leadership. This is where you start to trust the people that you are outsourcing to or delegating to. And the shift here is for you to move from, I must prove that I'm doing enough, to I trust that being aligned is enough. We move from trying to prove something to trusting that being aligned with the way you want to lead is actually enough. 2 questions for you to reflect on in this stage. Firstly, ask yourself, where do you still seek validation before making clean, calm decisions? And we're going to be talking about decision making in a bit, but I just want you to reflect on this. Where are some areas that you're seeking validation before you make those decisions in the business? And what guilt are you ready to stop carrying into your next level or next season of leadership? Is it the guilt of, I tried something before and this happened, and now I'm not sure if I want to try it again? Is it that we've been told from our younger days that if we're not working more hours, then, we are not being of integrity? Or is it the guilt from your corporate role comes in, and now you're feeling guilty because in your business, you're not supposed to be working more hours because this is lack of integrity, right? Like, what are those guilt that comes up? I want you to write that down. Will they help me in my next level of growth in the business, my next level of leadership inside this business? Are they going to be of support to you? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to reflect on this before we continue. Ready? Let's go. If you took action on this exercise, then good job. Because here's the thing, all the exercises and the reflection prompts that I'm inviting you to, they are to help you see calm as a catalyst. Because calm isn't the absence of motion, it's the mastery of momentum. Calm is not the absence of nothing is moving. It's when you've mastered everything moves in flow. Pressure, the old way, what it does, it contracts. But calm is expansive. It's built. It ramps up the energy. And your creativity, maybe you are looking to be more creative. Maybe you're looking to write a book, or you're looking or desiring as a probably multi-passionate. You want to be able to work on more passion projects that you love. That creativity clarity that you desire, to know what you need to be doing to expand your leadership, to ensure that you're creating legacy your grandkids will talk about for years to come. And that leadership, they all live in the space called calm, because calm expands. It is the mastery of momentum. And here's why I want you to stop thinking that adding more helps you scale, because you scale by aligning more. You don't scale by adding more. You can scale with one offer. You can still scale with a group container. You can scale with one-on-one containers. So you don't scale by adding more work for yourself. You scale by aligning more to your rhythm, aligning more to your leadership, aligning more to your next level of clientele. Maybe you would need to shift the type of clientele you're calling into your spaces. These are key factors for effective scaling. It's about aligning more, not about adding more. Where are some of the areas that you've been telling yourself, oh my God, I need to add more to scale? This is a wrong mindset. So I want to share this with you, because now we've walked on the 3 layers of release. And here's what has happened. When you released things mentally, you move from working from rush to working from rhythm. When you let go of, oh my God, I've got to be the one doing everything, to my systems get to hold me. You move from rush to working from rhythm. And when you released emotionally, you moved from leading from pressure to leading from presence. It was no longer, I'm pressured to do this, or I feel guilty for not doing this, or I feel guilty for taking a nap. It was now, oh my God, now I'm leading from presence. Now I'm leading from calm flow. And when you walk down the operational release, the reflection, you get to start to move from operating from control to operating from clarity. And when I say control, I don't mean that you lose control of the business. I'm saying thinking that everything has to run by you, or everything has to be by you doing it. That is the strategic move. And this is your CEO energy reframe. Very important. Now, another reflection for you. If your business could breathe, what would it tell you that it needs right now? If your business could breathe, I want you to reflect for 2 minutes. We're going to be reflecting for 2 minutes here. If your business could breathe, what will it tell you that it needs from you right now? Ready? Let's go. Good job. I'm so excited for what we're doing here. This is about shifting energetically, and you're doing such an amazing job. Now, I want to talk about something really, really critical at this point, because remember when we talked about operating from clean energy and really making those decisions in our day? I would like to invite you and really introduce you to what I call the clean decision filter. This would be a very important aspect of that thought of, oh my God, I'm reacting to everything. Oh my God, I feel behind by the end of the week. Oh my God, I struggle with time management. It's always because of the tasks most of the time that we are involved in. And remember when we talked about operational release, we talked about your zone of excellence and the new things that we really add up to our calendar or add up to our task because we feel like we need to do more. Now, here is a practical filter. I'm going to give you this tool or this resource or whatever framework, whatever you want to call it, that will support you in understanding what to let go of, what to do, and how you don't have to end next week feeling like I've done so much, but I still feel behind. So let's talk about it. I call it the clean decision filter, and each of the letters in the word clean is an acronym. So C stands for clarity, L is leverage, E is evidence, A is advantage, and N is next steps. So we're going to walk through it very quickly. So if you have maybe an idea or something pops up or you have a role, whatever it is, or the need to validate because you feel imposter syndrome around that, here is what you can use to run that idea or run that task or run that thought by. You can run it through the clean decision filter. And the first thing is for you to clarify, does this align with my current business season and goals? Or you can even take it a punch ahead. Does it align my end-time long-term legacy goal? Or is it just pulling me off track? So you want to start with clarity. Is this an alignment? Remember when we talked about scaling being about aligning more? This is a build up on that. It's about aligning. It's not about adding more to your task. So ask yourself, does this align with my current business season and goals? Or is it just something that pulls me off track? That's the clarity phase. The leverage phase is, does it build on something I already have? We should always try to build not from scratch. Because, in fact, everything we do or everything we should be doing is what I would reframe as. Everything we should be doing should not be that we're starting from scratch. We should always be able to leverage something else. So does it build on something you already have? Does it build on a skill set you already have? Does it build on the offer you already have? Or does that build on your audience that you already have? Or does it require you starting from scratch? Most of the time, if it requires you starting from scratch, it's probably not something you want to devote your energy to, except if you've clarified that it is in alignment with your current season. Now, you want to break that down into different steps and then work on it as strategically as you can. Not try to do everything at once. Then the next phase is evidence. Do I have some signal, no matter how small that is, that your people need this? And when I talk about signal, this does not necessarily mean data. It could be a question. Of course, this is still data, right? It could be a question, it could be a comment, or it could be a DM conversation. When I talk about data, I mean like a full graph of like you've tracked the numbers, but then questions, comment, DMs, they're still data in some sort. You want to look for evidence that people that you're serving, the highest level of people that you want to be able to create this legacy with and for, because you're creating your legacy with someone and for someone. Do they need this? Do they need this from you? Do they need you to add more into the business? Do they need you to add that thing to your workload? That is the evidence phase. Then advantage is also an important filter pillar. Does this highlight my unique brilliance or does it deepen my authority in the space? Will this highlight your unique brilliance, the unique ingredient that you bring to the table? Will it deepen your authority in your space? This will be a very key, important aspect of making those clean decisions. And finally, what's the next simple action that moves this forward within 48 hours? If you can't find a simple action step that will move it forward in 48 hours, it probably isn't something that you need to consider, that you need to add on. So if you get a yes on 4 out of 5, that's a green light. Ship it confidently. But if not, you probably might want to refine without completely abandoning, or if it does not align with your highest legacy, then it's probably something you want to let go of. Run it through the clean decision filter, and then you can even take it a step further. If it's not aligned with a clean decision filter and it is not within your zone of excellence, then it's probably something you don't want to work on personally, or you don't even want your team to work on. But if you've run it through the clean decision filter and it's something that you can ship, but it's not within your zone of excellence, maybe delegate to your team, delegate to someone else that can help you. That'll be a really great move. We've walked through the clean decision filter. I want to share a simple seal reset ritual that you can adopt to ensure that you are taking this home. I call it the PBCI seal reset framework. So, very simple. When you have a task or something that you feel compelled to do, I want you to take a pause, and then I want you to breathe out. You could breathe for like 3-4 times, and then leveraging the clean decision filter, I want you to choose strategically, not reactively. Do I have clarity that this is something that would advance my business and support me in my end goal? Do I have leverage for this? Do I have evidence that my people, the people I'm creating legacy with and for, do they need this? Do I have an advantage? And if it's in alignment, then that is a signal for you to go ahead. But if not, that means it's something that you need to discard. So once again, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so we can integrate this. We've learned quite a few things in this training. We've gone through the 3 layers of release: mental release, emotional release, and operational release. We've talked about the clean decision filter, and now you can leverage this to stop the reactivity in that task that wants to be added on, and how you can leverage the clean filter to go through it. And we've also talked about the calm seal reset. Now let's integrate with this 2 question. And I want you to write this down in your notes or in your workbook. What's one belief, task, or system that you're ready to release this week? We've talked a few times about belief. We've talked about your task, and now you can elevate into your zone of excellence leadership tasks. And also we talked briefly about systems. Which of these are you ready to let go of in your 4 areas of business growth. That's your offer creation or offer delivery, your marketing, your sales, and your operations. So, what are you ready to release this week to create calm space in your business? And then write down in your notes, how will you remind yourself that calm is your catalyst, not your reward? Remember, we talked about calm being the momentum builder, and how pressure keeps us stuck in reactivity, and how pressure contracts, but calm expands. So, how will you remind yourself that calm is your catalyst? And it's happening this week, not next week, but this week. We start integrating it right away. I am delighted to have brought this to you, and I would love to invite you to implement this together. If you're feeling that inner yes, that knowing that you're ready to build structure that supports your next level, I would love to invite you to a Confident sales call. In the sales call, we are going to be mapping out your next step towards calm, confident leadership and system that sustains your growth. Because as you know, calm is not the opposite of success. It is the foundation. And here's something I know about you at this stage. You're not looking for someone to save you. You probably have listened to all of this and you're ready to implement. You know this is what you need in your business. And you're already determined to get the result with or without my help. You are only craving strategic partnership that will help you detect those blind spots. Blind spot in your business right now with precision, not because you're unable to do that, but because you're too close to your business right now to see them. You're looking for and you're craving strategic partnership that will call out areas that you're playing small, areas where you're playing small, and call you up to your highest standard so that 2026 becomes your best year yet. You're looking for strategic partnership that allows you to close the gap between planning and fast execution. And I have a program called the Confident CEO Accelerator. This might be the space for you, where we will be implementing what we've shared today. This is the container that you're desiring to invest in yourself through. And the blueprints that I've given you in this training, or a part of the blueprint in the accelerator, we customize the blueprint for you, for your business, and for your legacy. So I invite you, click on that button right below this video to book a sales call, and let's map out your next step towards calm, confident leadership. I'm so excited for you. I know you are ready to create the change that your business and your legacy needs right now. So click on that button. And before you go, I just want to share this. Release isn't just a part of a framework. It's how leaders like you reclaim their energy, their revenue, and their identity. You do not need a team to feel like a CEO. You don't need a full calendar to prove your value. You need rhythm. You need space to breathe. What if 90 days from now, even 30 days from now, your week or your business look nothing like it does today? How you lead in the business? What if it looks nothing like it does today? That is the level of leadership and identity that I'm calling you up to. Thank you so much for joining me in this training. I look forward to connecting with you in the next training. Be sure to work on your workbook, right? I've left that link also to really own in on what we are doing in the training. And if you've been leveraging the workbook as we went along in this training, good job. You did amazing. And if you know that you are ready for calm mornings, naps in the afternoons, and impromptu trips without feeling guilt, knowing that you're scaling sustainably to multiple six-figure wealth without being plugged in 24/7, then I would love to chat with you. Book that call right now. Click on the button below and let's have a conversation. I look forward to connecting more with you. Thank you and take care.